Welcome to the Hair Notes podcast. I am your host, Maxine Green, owner and master stylist of Curly Dimension Salon. This podcast was created intentionally to assist you on your natural hair journey. Each week we will cover topics on products, topics that you have questions about, that you need clarity about. So if you're looking for a space and a place to get some clarification on what's the next step in your natural hair journey, this is the place for you. Every week, a new episode will drop. So grab a notepad and a pen and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Hair Notes podcast. All right, so on today's episode, I want to talk about the common misconceptions surrounding texturizers on naturally curly hair. So a few things, right? There are three misconceptions that clients often don't think about, or they have misguided information surrounding, or they're not really sure. So here are my top three things. I would like to do a texturizer or just to assist me with managing my curly hair. Number two, it's going to help loosen my curl pattern. My hair is too tight, so I would prefer my hair a little looser. Number three, misguided conception or misunderstood in regards to texturizers is it's not a relaxer, right? All right, let's break these conception down for a bit. Let's dive a little deeper. The first one is it's going to help me manage my curly hair a lot better. Here's the thing. A texturizer is exactly what it says it is. It's not going to assist you in helping you manage your curly hair. In the incept, or initially, it will look or appear as though it's helping you to manage your curly hair. But essentially, over time, your hair is going to go right back to where it was before, because it's a chemical. And once that chemical has been removed from your hair, or once that chemical has grown out from the hair, then your hair goes right back to what essentially was before, right? You managing your naturally curly hair, a texturizer will not help you do that. What's essentially going to help you manage your natural curly hair is you finding the right products, you finding what works for you consulting with a specialist or seeking guidance from a curly hair specialist and or a stylist within your area, and you figuring out the right cocktail, such as products, using the right products, eating right, making sure what you put in, what are you intaking, and what you're using externally will certainly help you in manageability of your natural curly hair. It starts really with your core products. And I can't emphasize that enough, right? Every episode you're going to hear me talk about how to manage curly hair and what essentially is the core products. And in this case, it's no different. The second guidance or misconception surrounding texturizers on natural curly hair is that it will loosen my curl pattern. Oh, absolutely. It will will do that. It will loosen your curl pattern for sure. How much looser it will make your curl pattern? Now that's a question you might want to ask yourself before even thinking about doing a texturizer. Oftentimes what I find is that when texturizers are done on naturally curly hair, it's often left on the hair a little longer than normal or would like to be or should be. So as a result of that, it makes the hair straighter, right? So now you have a soft relaxer, so to speak, right? The looser curl pattern over time, if you're looking for your curls to be stretched out because I know I get it. A lot of curly girl, or I would say about maybe 60% of our natural curly girls, their curls are really tight. That coily, spring-like, very slinky looking curl, that corkscrew curl, super tight curl that retracts automatically once the hair is hydrated. I get it. I get it for those curly girls. The shrinkage is serious. Spring factor is often an issue. they can't get the length or the style to look as flawless or as lush as they would like it to look based on just where they are in their hair or just how their hair looks, right? So they opt for a texturizer to loosen or to help them loosen the curl pattern to give them a little bit more length. That I completely understand. But understand that when you are doing a texturizer, you're essentially doing a soft relaxer to your hair. So the idea that it will help loosen your curl pattern, it can go two ways. You can have it too straight, meaning if your curls are super soft, let's say your curls are loose and the texture of your hair is really soft, a texturizer will only lengthen the hair, but it will not only lengthen the hair, but it will also make your hair straight. Now, it's okay if you want to wear your hair straight, but if you're a natural curly girl and your wash day, you want to have a wash and go, or you would love to experience what a wash and go look like, or you want to go on vacation, you don't want to have to worry about your hair. A texturized is often going to give you that instant look of a looser curl. And yes, it works for some, but I wouldn't recommend it across the board. And I never really recommend it to my curly clients anyway. The consistency of styling or stylers, the consistency of keeping up with your appointments in the salon, the consistency of you finding a routine, that's what's going to help you with your manageability of your curls. That's what's going to help you ultimately see a difference in terms of how your hair receives product and how your hair looks overall and feels overall, right? No, nothing happens overnight, and that goes across the board with everything. In regards to your hair, curly hair is something that you can't get the look instantly. It's not an instant gratification sort of style or sort of look. It's a work in progress, and it takes time and effort and patience for you to get exactly where you would like to go. The idea of doing a texturizer to loosen the curls, you got to ask yourself, like, how loose is my hair going to be? There was a case where recently a client came in and she had a texturizer, and the texturizer was left on a little longer than she would like it to be. Now, I want you to kind of picture what this looks like. This client went from really tight curls, and now one section of her hair was super tight. The others was a little looser. And that is very normal. But I don't want you to get the idea to treat the two different textures differently. She got a texturizer, and the texturizer was left on a little too long. And so what ended up happening is from her roots to almost maybe 2.5 inches off the ends, straight, completely straight. So the hair laid very limp. It would not curl up. And then the end of the hair, about 2 inches on the end of the hair it's her natural curl, her regular curl. So can you imagine straight and then curly, just how that looks or how it's received on a particular style, on any style? And especially if her desire was to wear it naturally curly. If your desire is to wear your hair naturally curly, then I would encourage you to try to opt out not for a texturizer. There are different ways that you can encourage your curls to be a looser. Now, I've seen clients who silk press their hair a little frequently than normal. My recommendations is once a month, or mainly during the winter months because of the cold. It would preserve the silk press a lot longer, right? But that's for another episode. And so, or if you've listened to the past episodes, I talked about the silk press versus curly hair and when you should do them, right? If that's your option or if that's your choice, that's your decision, then I would say just silk press your hair, not frequently, but at least once a month, and you'll see over time your curls start to loosen up a bit. The other option, which option number one, I don't always recommend, but it's an option nonetheless. Option number two is for you to give your hair some time to help just receive the products that you're using, is the word I want to use. I was trying to find a different word, but give your hair some time, or a time of adjustment or period of adjustment to products, especially if you just started you just switched over to a new product line, or you're just starting your natural hair journey. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to understand what you need to do, how you need to do it, and what your hair can do and how it would look. To rush that process is only going to allow you to lose patience and you're, as a curly girl, you're just going to opt out for doing other things that doesn't necessarily benefit you in the long run, right? And then you would have to ultimately grow out a texturizer, because it's not going to fade overnight. A texturizer, understand, it's not going to come out in 3 washes. A texturizer is a chemical, right? It's a soft relaxer. So with that being said, let's jump into number 3. The common misconception: it's not a relaxer. On the contrary, it's a soft relaxer, because you're actually using chemical to break down your bonds in your natural curly hair. So what you're doing is you're essentially taking coily curls in your hair and you're straightening it just for a moment. Now, ultimately, the curls will revert back. How long will it take? That depends on your personal hair. That depends on you yourself. It depends on how long it takes your hair to grow. It depends on your care for your hair. But to say that it's not a relaxer, it's a misconception. It's a soft relaxer, right? It's a chemical. So you're adding chemical. So at what point do you say, "Oh, I'm a natural curly girl"? Where? How? You've just done a relaxer on your hair. Whether you want to think about it or not. Listen, you guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, sugarcoat it for you. It's a relaxer. However you slice or dice it, it's a relaxer done on curly hair. It may not be as harsh. It may not be to get your hair super straight, because that was not the intent, or that's not what it's intended for. But however, it is a relaxer or soft relaxer that is meant to loosen your curl, or meant to give you some sense of curl definition. Oftentimes what I see is clients who gets relaxers, their hair is so straight, they can't do anything with their hair. So then they come and they go, "Well, I just did a texturizer. It was supposed to loosen up my curl, and I don't understand what happened." I can tell you exactly what happened. You got a texturizer. It was left on a little longer than you would like, or the stylist would have loved it to be. And now you have a soft relaxer. So your only option is to straighten your hair until your curls revert back. So then, one, you have a soft relaxer on your hair, on natural curly hair. 2, in order for you to have some sense of style, you now have to revert or just settle with straightening your hair. So then what happens? That can lead to so many things. And essentially, you falling down the rabbit hole of, "Oh my goodness, did I just create heat damage on my hair?" Because that's exactly what ends up happening, is the constant overtime or over processing or constant repeat of heat applied over a chemical. The rest is up to you for you to just decide, okay, do I want this? Is this really what I want to do? Or is it worth it in the end? Right? Texturizers on natural curly hair is so misleading. And I think that so many curly girls are not equipped with exactly what it will do in the long run, and they're not equipped with enough knowledge to understand, or they're not given enough knowledge understanding this is a possibility. There is a possibility that your hair will be straight if this is left on too long. There is a possibility that your curls is going to take another 6 months before you can actually see your grow out, right? Texturizers does not rinse out of the hair, or it's not easily removed from the hair after 6 washes. Contrary to what someone may say to you, it's not going to go back to your natural curly hair after you washed your hair 6 times. That's not how it works. It's a chemical and it's in there until your hair grows out. That can take anywhere from 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months, depending on where you are in your growth process. If your hair grows really fast, then the time will be shortened. If your hair grows really slow and it takes a long time for you to see length and for you to see any concept or any inkling that your hair is growing, then it's going to ultimately elongate the time that you see your curls revert back to what it was prior to you doing a texturizer. So do I recommend the texturizers? No. Have I done texturizers on my natural curly girls? Absolutely, in the past. But let me explain, or let me validate what I've done. The texturizers that I've done, I don't call them a texturizer, it's called a softener. And the reason why I call it a softener is because I water it down. It's more conditioner than it is a texture, than it is the actual chemical. So the strength of that particular product, the texturizer, is now watered down or is now reduced by me using a conditioning agent to help the hair. Because I know that ultimately this texturizer, I don't want it to be as strong or as powerful as it is straight out of the container onto my client's hair. I don't want that to be so strong I don't want the curl to be straight. So I'm going to reduce the strength of this relaxer or this texturizer so that I can get the results that I'm looking for, which is a looser curl. Because there are clients who say, because the misconception is they automatically think, because they know, they've heard, so they come into the salon and they say, oh, I would like a texturizer. So then I ask in my consultation, why would you like a texturizer? And what about a texturizer that seems appealing to you? And are you aware that these are some of the misconceptions surrounding texturizers? Are you aware that these are some of the things that may or may not happen with your curls? Now, the same things that happens with a relaxer where you can experience breakage is the same things that are going to happen with a texturizer. Now, with that being said, it's not to say that you're not going to experience breakage with your natural curly hair. It's part of the growth process. It's part of nature where you're going to experience breakage, and breakage to some degree is healthy, right? But severe breakage is not, right? So let me just be clear on that. So you will see breakage with a texturizer because your hair is ultimately growing. It's going to shed the old hair. So that's where you're going to see that breakage come in, right? But excessive breakage from a texturizer, you have to be, that should be a red flag for you, right? And you should be on a high alert with that, where that is concerned. So yes, have I done it? Absolutely. Will I continue to encourage my curly clients to do it? I can honestly say I can count on one hand. I've done a softener on my clients maybe about 3 times in my career, because it was one of those cases where the clients were super adamant about her curls, wanting a looser curl pattern because she wanted the elongated curls. And I understand. I completely understand. And once we went through what the potential of the texturizer will do and what her necessary care should look like, or what her maintenance at home should look like now that she has a softener or texturizer. Once she understood that and she was okay with it, and I knew that she was capable of doing or managing her hair on her own, then I would certainly do it for her. But if it's a new client and she's unaware and she's simply, the idea in her mind is that all she wants is elongated curls, She wants her curls to be loose. She has this vision for herself and her hair, and it's just not where it should be or where she would like it to be. Then I strongly advise against it. And I break down why I strongly advise against it. And usually the clients will just go, well, I trust your judgment and I trust you as the professional, so I'm not going to go that route. I mean, after all, this is why you guys come to us. After all, this is why you sit in our chair. After all, this is why we educate ourselves so that we can let you know what are the pros and cons of doing a texturizer. What are the benefits of doing a texturizers, right? How will it benefit you? And ultimately, how is your hair going to respond to the fact that now you have a texturizer? And what does that look like for you in 3 to 6 months? And give you some real tangible tips on how to maintain your hair now that you have a texturizer at home. A texturizer, or a softener as I call it, is not simply something that you just put on the hair and allow it to sit and forget about it. It's not, it's a chemical. The other part of it, I know that some clients have gone into various salons and they went in to get a blowout and came back and their hair would not revert back to their natural curls. And so I asked the question, what was done while you were there? Did you see the products that were used? And sometimes it's those products that were applied at the shampoo bowl, straight from the jar to their head. And that's their stylist telling them, oh no, this is for manageability. This is so that I can get through your hair. I often ask what was used. And I can honestly say across the board, they knew, they couldn't tell me. So I can only assume that what was used was some form of chemical, because you can see the damage. You can smell it, you can feel it in the hair, right? So I get those clients who by default they never ask for a texturizer, and they got a texturizer unbeknownst to them, and then I get those clients who would like a texturizer or already had a texturizer from a previous service, and now they want to curl their hair, or they want to understand why their hair is not curling the way all my clients' curls are forming, right? Let me repeat that. They want to know why their hair don't look the same as all my clients. Simply put, you have a chemical in your hair. And so once you have a chemical in your hair, depending on how long it was left on the hair, your hair will not revert the same. It will not look the same. It will not feel the same. So you have to really think about why you want a texturizer. Is this really the best thing for me? Is this really the best thing for my hair? How can I maintain my hair? And if this is something that you can honestly say to yourself, I am not ready to handle this, I don't know how to handle it. I think that when you have the information, or you're armed with enough knowledge about surrounding the texturizers on your curly hair, then you can make sound decisions in regards to your curls. You can make sound decisions regarding whether or not this is the right fit for you. All right, y'all. Until the next time, I hope this helped you. But until the next time, have a blessed week, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day.